Well, hello there, YouTube. Petey Twofinger doing an update video on the outdoor rig. If you're a fan of this channel, you know that my wife and I make music in a duo. We do that outdoors. So one of the challenges is making music without 110 volt AC, and we're doing that using Class D amp boards. So this unit here has an MP3 decoder. So that's basically, it's just an MP3 player. And we use a memory card that sits in there that has drum loops on it, like songs. So there is a jack here for a foot switch, and I can start and stop those MP3s with my foot switch. And then I didn't really care for the size of the small buttons, so I put a rewind button on the side and a fast forward button in the front and a play button just below that. And then there's the jack for the remote. So I can get to where we need to be. I mean, pretty much if we're playing a straight set through, or like we went and did an open mic type of a thing, and I had everything in a row, so we just started it and played all the way through with 1 second before a 4 count, and then the song will end, and there'll be anywhere between 3 and 15 seconds of silence or sound effects. So getting back to the nitty gritty of this, I threw this box together, and what's inside of here is a power source. It is three 12 volt packs. So there's three 18650 lithium ion batteries in each pack, and that will ensure, having 3 of them, that we have 3 times as many milliamps or hours to enjoy making music before the batteries will die. Probably overkill. The first time we took it out, I had 2 packs and we had a battery fail, and I got a little weird. I'm like, oh, I probably need more. So we'll see. I probably overdid it, but there's 3 battery packs inside of here to power the mixer, which is a mono price 65808 is what it's called. It's an they call it an 8-channel mini mixer, or mixer 8 Pro Audio series. mono price, which actually Neewer also puts their brand on these. Now it has a 2-band DQ, 12K HZ, and the low is 80 hertz. There's gain, auxiliary send, and pan controls, as well as balance control for the stereo. There's 2 stereo channels and 4 mono channels. And there's a 2-track, there's a 2-track in and out, and then there's a headphone, which that's what I'm going out of. Here you see is the 12 volt plug coming in, and then there's the output to 12 volt, and that goes into the internal Class D amp, which that's these controls down here. So these other 2 jacks over here are from the MP3 player going into channel 7 and 8 stereo channel on the board. So the idea with this is we throw this down. Inside of it is a power pack for the mixer, and there's also a separate power pack to power the MP3 player. And the 3rd power switch is to turn on the Class D power amp. So we throw this down. There's an additional external power pack to power the power amp, which is the Class D 2.1. What that 2.1 means is that there's 2 right and left main speakers, and there's 1 subwoofer. So here's our right speaker jack, our left speaker jack, and then our sub. So we slap this thing down, throw 3 speakers into it. I will plug my guitar into these 2 channels. She'll plug her bass probably into this one over here, this stereo pair. Excuse me. I'll probably go in over here. I actually have some 90s, they're little 90s, 1/4-inch 90s that go to an adapter which terminates to a 3/8 inch female. And that's a headphone size cable. So we're using normal guitar cables to go into our multi-effectors, which are Zoom G1ON or B1, and then I have a Zoom G3, the older G3. And what we're using normal cables to go into that. But on the output, we use a headphone adapter or a cable that is a 1/4 inch that splits down to an 1/8 inch. And those cables, I get them cheap, long run. You can get 20-foot cable that's braided for like $1. And the reason I'm going with that is because this is a remote, and it reduces the size and the weight of our gig bags significantly. When I switched over to starting to use as many of the 1/8 inch cables as I could, I know it's not, those aren't, monster oxide free, super mega pro whatever low capacitance. No, I could care less. These I'm getting them for $1 a piece. They're 20-foot long. They're braided, and wind them around my arm and throw them in the gig bag, and the gig bag weighs next to nothing. So yeah, that's the powered mixer that I just slapped together. I had another one of these that I had built that we used, and it works wonderfully. Here's the inside of it. You can see it still reeks of nail polish, but you can see there's 3 battery packs. The 4th battery pack only has 2. That's 2 battery packs for the MP3. And then at the bottom there is that power amp. And the power amp cost me $18. It's a Class D. The chip is a TPA 3116D2, 50 by 2. That's, I'm not sure about the exact. We're running a 24 volt, 2 sealed lead acid batteries, 2 12 volt 7 mAh milliamp hour batteries. 2 of those connected in series to hit 24 volts. And like I said, I had a smart guy, make some comment, where are you getting X amount of watts? Because it was off a little bit. So yeah, it's rated at 200 watts. I'm sure it's not putting out 200 watts for us because our speakers may be 6 ohms instead of 4. But I am running it at 24 volts. We have the battery that I really like to use with this. It's just that I'm trying to use up my sealed lead acid batteries before I switch over. I've got a e-bike battery that was quite expensive. It's a $450 battery. It's a 48 volt battery, but I got a transformer that kicks it down to 24 volts. That's the one that I like to run. Doesn't really matter, it all sounds the same. We're running a 2x10, it's called the GK Neo 210 bass cabinet, bass bin for our sub. And then I have a pair of 8-inch PA speakers that have compression driver horns in them. I have a German one, it's a company called DAB or DAW or Dan, DAR, something DA something, I forgot. I got that speaker for $6.99 at Salvation Army. Das Audio. It's a $400 8-inch. It's a really nice speaker. And then its mate is a Rockville. It is Rockville Gobsy, yes. You don't need to correct me on that one. So, the Rockville was 30, I think it was 39. I think it was 40. 40 shipped. Yeah. But you know what? It doesn't, as far as if you sit in the sweet spot and listen, I couldn't tell a difference between the Rockville and the DA, the German one. Which the German one is way better speaker. Like the way it's constructed and everything, how it looks. But it sound the same. They're both, relatively close. So that's the speakers. We do this in an area where there is a single AC outlet. We started making music remote because we live in an apartment and we respect our neighbors. So we started doing this, and we like the idea of running everything on batteries because it gives me something to do, and I get to build the gear that we play through, and I'm proud of that. And then we ended up at this place that we found that we really enjoy playing at. It has an AC outlet. So the irony, it's never lost. I might start bringing a cable and stuff. It's just I know the day I bring a cable and plug into the town's AC outlet, that's some kind of like
Probably not even working.
So no, it is. I checked it. It's got a GFI on it with an LED. So but like I said, the day I were to plug into it, I'm sure some sort of a like county forest preserve police guy would show up, and they wouldn't exactly be happy we were using their AC without a permit. But yeah, the idea is so we're able to make some noise and get away with doing that without doing it in our home where we're going to bother everybody. So making music remote is really fun. I love doing it. It's just the heat and the people. I don't like having to explain that they're battery amps and I built them and Class D, blah blah blah. Because there's a lot of guys who think they really know a lot about audio who have never heard of Class D amps, and they don't know that they're 83 to 90% efficient, and that's what makes it possible. And I start talking to them about it, and then they start getting funny with me, like I'm making stuff up, and it's like, look, dude, none of this equipment is from Guitar Center. It's all pretty much cobbled together. Like the chassis, this case is a Hannah Montana case. It used to be, I painted it black, primed it and painted it, but it used to have pink all over it. And anyway, like I said, I put the stuff together. I shouldn't have to explain too much of it, because if anybody's watching this, you probably already know all this already. But that's the new rig. It's the same power amp from earlier this year, because the mixer was 35. And I didn't want to just buy another power amp, because I've done a lot of upgrading and then those amps just sit here. So I am going to replace that, because as it is now, we don't have any backup. And in a couple of weeks, when the finances have settled back in, I'm going to order another power amp board. What would be nice is to get something a little bit better than what we have, and then do the do-si-do and move them around. But I'll probably end up getting the same thing, because to be honest with you, it's at the point where it's so loud that the camcorder is going to distort. I need to bring it down a bit from its max capability, because the videos that I bring home sound terrible if it's clipped out on the camcorder, and we ran into a little bit of that. So, and I mean, what are we trying to prove here? It is empowering. I get this big smile on my face when it's loud, when we're playing, and believe me, when I say it's loud, it is. It's loud. It's loud. You wouldn't think so with a couple of 8s and that, pair of 10s, but it gets loud in there. It gets loud. I do use another cabinet that just plays the guitar, that has got a 50x2 amp in it, and that runs 4 12-volt packs, 2 in series and 2 in pair, series pair to bring it up to 24, and then those are paralleled. And that amp uses a ceiling speaker. It was a $180 ceiling speaker. We got at Goodwill for $6.99. It was in the box, and it's high. It's like 200, rated at 200 watts or something, and it's got a pair of tweeters, and it's got a dual voice coil. So it's a stereo speaker. It's a single speaker, but it's stereo. There's 2 crossovers on it, 2 tweeters. It's a really unique thing. And that speaker, I find, sounds wonderful, because I'm running a guitar modeler that uses amp modeling. So it's not looking for a Black Widow or a what does everyone use? Vintage 30. Doesn't sound terrible through a Vintage 30, because it needs a full spectrum audio speaker, full range, bass, mid-range, and treble. So I built that cabinet to bring along because I wanted to really push my guitar at times, and I was concerned about putting all of that weight just on those 2/8s. So that amp is built into a. Hey, honey, would you bring me that silverware amp? While I'm talking about it, I'll show you while I got you here. This is, we call it the 2 amp. For obvious reasons, the 2 amp is here, and this has that a fuse, an LED. There's a fuse, an LED, a volume knob, and a power switch. Yeah, so it's power switch, fuse, power switch, LED, fuse, and then there's the volume knob, and then the decorative petey two-finger logo. So this has a Velcro strap to keep it closed, and then on the inside it's the battery packs, and then the amp sits down at the base. Amp is sitting down in here. Oh wait, is it? Yeah, here's the amp. That's the amp board in there. One of those real cheap ones. And there's just a resistive to ground kind of volume control on the input. And then here's that Funkadelic speaker. So this thing, basically what I do, my guitar comes out using a 1/4-inch cable up back to the table, and then we have a table behind us, and then it goes into a EQ, which is a stereo EQ that I built with knobs, 3-band type of thing, bass, mid-range, and treble, and then volume, and it puts out, it's a booster too. So that thing, on the output, I have a splitter, like for 2 people to listen to headphones, with 1/8 inch. And then 1/8 inch cable will go to the mixer, and the other 1/8 inch cable goes right over into this 1/8 inch input that's here on the side of the 2 amp. And then you hit the switch here and adjust your volume here. And that's the rig. That's how we do it. So this one, we haven't run it. We haven't run this yet. This year, what we ran was the mixer came, and I was waiting on the MP3. So last Sunday we went out and we plugged everything into the mixer using an external MP3 player. I've got a backup MP3 player I built into a little box, and it's got just a headphone jack out, and then there's the buttons on there that I cut in my own buttons because I don't like using the little ones on the front panel. So that thing has saved me, because sometimes something will go wrong and we'll have to go to plan B, and I've always got that little remote unit. So yeah, last Sunday we set everything up going to this mixer, and then we ran that out into the old setup, which is basically the same as this, only it didn't have a mixer on the top. It had just a volume mixer with sliders. There was no EQ. It was much more of a toy mixer. Ran on like 6 volts. And it sounded all right. It really did. I mean, if you've watched any of the videos, you've heard us. You know what we sound like. It doesn't sound bad. It sounds good. It sounds hi-fi. And now having an actual mixer with an EQ is probably going to improve the fidelity a little bit. Not by much, because I don't do any drastic EQ, and it already sounded really wonderful. But just for me, for my peace of mind, knowing that it's not like it's all this nice stuff, and then the bottleneck is right at this crappy board, that who knows how long that thing's even going to last. It's not designed for. It was for an editor for a Super 8, converting your Super 8 movies to VHS, and they gave you a little mixer on it to You know, if you wanted to narrate and put some music. So I've been able to find those units and then gut the mixer part of it for my project. So I've got 3 or 4 of those mixers here that when I see them, I buy them. And they work well. They really do. They work good. If you're going to build a suitcase synth or something like that, that's what you want to look for. But something like this is going to do you a little better. Last Sunday we had everything hooked up, and I'm going through, and I just got this sinking feeling, and I've said to my wife, something doesn't sound right. I can't believe I bought this thing. It's cheaper brand, no name brand. And I was just beating myself up, so we go ahead and we started the first song and played through. We start playing the second song, and I'm like, you know what, hold it. Something's not right. And I went, and the jack for the subwoofer speaker was not plugged in all the way. It was half plugged in. And it was me. I did that. So, because that's my wife's specialty. That's her signature move. And I ended up doing it. And there was no subwoofer. So we plugged that in, and then I redid it, and it was like this low frequency, just like coming out of this little pavilion. I said, "Oh, that's it. Okay, let me adjust the EQ now. Turn the bass down a little bit, and everything was fine." So, like I said, last week's videos, there's a pair of videos that are up on this channel. One of them is Bacon Fryer. The other one, 79 Dimes and Bacon Fryer are the 2 videos that I put up that were using the mixer. In the same amp, I mean, it's going to sound the same. It's basically from here out, that's the sound. And I don't even know if you would notice a difference. It's that it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit less distortion, maybe. So moving forward, I'm going to concentrate on keeping the super loud songs, trying to limit those a little bit, and not really just be like we're wailing, and give it room to breathe. Just concentrate on the dynamics a little bit, and then the EQ. So there'll be a little bit more work for me now that I have those options available. Because before there was nothing; it was just volume, and I basically just kept everything where it was all night. And I would adjust my guitar using the EQ that I had that has a preamp in it with the splitter. So I've got my multi-effector on the ground, and then it comes out up to the table where there's that mixer, and I have that gain stage there that can, it's a volume stage. It's what it really is, and I can boost the volume, and then I can also boost the volume on the front of the 2 amp. So it's kind of a flexible system for me. My guitar has a little bit more to it, and if we got to a point or we were in a crunch, we would just eliminate that 2 amp, and I would just play through the PA, so it'll be less setup time. But I'm not so much worried about that. When we go out, there's plenty of time for us to do our thing. So, all right, you guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click the subscribe thing, hit the bell for notifications. Is that what I'm supposed to say? I love you guys. Take care of yourselves and enjoy making music. That's the point. Whether you're doing cover tunes or writing your own stuff, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. Make sure you're having fun and you love what you do.